Welcome back, live from Los Angeles. We are so honored to have Michele Meiche. She is not only a intuitive soul guide, but you have a podcast called Awakenings, and you are a best-selling author, and so on and so forth. So great to have you here on the show.
Thank you. I'm glad I finally made it. It's great to be here with all of you. I love
so
how
happy
you
to have
started
you.
the beginning. You're ready to go.
You
It's
got us
meditation
going.
in itself.
It is dance, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very curious to know, when did you start this journey of being an artist, a guide, a creator? What was that moment for you?
Ever since I can remember.
You were just
I've been
born
writing.
that way.
I was just born. Gaga, lady. I've been writing since I was 8, and I actually was published in a couple poetry anthologies starting in 3rd grade.
Wow.
NBD.
Yeah, right?
Wow. So what
Way to
happened?
go.
How did you know? How did you know you had psychic abilities? Like when how
When
did
I
you
was,
know?
Okay, so when I was little, I would just predict things. Like if somebody was sick or a friend's pet was going to die, or I remember one time my parents had invited friends of the family over, and I just blurted out, "They're not going to be able to come because he's going to be in the hospital."
Oh.
And my mom's like, "Don't! Why are you saying that, Michele?" And he goes, "He's going in the hospital. He's going to be in the hospital, and he's going to be really sick." And so then that happened. Like 3 days later, the man went in the hospital. And so my parents, they didn't dissuade me. They tolerated it. But I just knew things. And then I was a kid, I was very curious. I read, library back then. I went and looked at astral projection.
Wow.
Things
And so
like
what do you
that
think
in
what do you feel like you attribute that to? Is it just something that you have been doing for many, many lifetimes, or is it something that you have a calling around it? What do you attribute it to?
Both. I think I have a calling. I mean, everybody's intuitive. So that's the sixth sense. Everybody's intuitive. We have an inner GPS, our gut knowing. We get flashes of insight. We think of somebody, they call us. So we're meant to integrate that more. Psychic simply means the soul. So you're reading from the soul or the Akashic. But I have a way of tuning, and there's a lot of different disciplines, but I have one way of just tuning into God or spirit and getting messages. I work with guides. And how I really began doing this, I used to model and act. And for like 2 years, I got to put on this list, do not use list, because and it wasn't just me, it was other models that had been used a lot on in catalogs and different programs. So right when that happened, I started being awoken from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. And I would get information on people, and I would hear this voice saying, "You're going to meet this person, give them this information." And I was like, what is going on? This is like, okay. And sure enough, I'd meet the person, they'd be sent to me, and I'd have information. Or I'd take a class in astrology or writing or whatever I was taking. And the next morning, 3 a.m., ding, there I am writing it out. And I'd be like, call this person. And I'm the one person that I called, Jan Messenger. Isn't that so appropriate, Jan Messenger? She was an astrologer. I took a class from her, and I got this voice, call her and give her this information. And it was very confidential information. It was about a lawsuit that she was involved in. And the voice was saying, call, call, call. And I was like, she's going to think I'm a nut. I'm not going to call her out of the blue. But I did. Finally I did. And I said, I know this is going to sound so weird, and I'm very grounded. If this wasn't happening to me, I wouldn't believe it either. And I gave her all this information, and she said, first of all, I'm going to be gone. I was going to be gone for 2 weeks. And this information I've been praying for. It's so crucial. And there's no way you could have known this because it's a highly confidential lawsuit. And then I had some personal information about her as well. And she said, I'm an astrologer, but I don't believe in channelers or psychics. I think they're, all BS. And I said, okay. She goes, but since you called me, you're the real deal. She started sending me people for 2 years. I hardly worked, because I'd saved enough money. People called from all over the country, all over the world, and I gave people readings for free.
Wow.
And then I read for this woman in Newport Beach, and she said, you're really good, you should charge. And I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe. And so that got me in a whole nother direction of training and studying. And
I wonder what it's like to have that responsibility when you get a message for somebody that could change their entire course of their life. What does that feel like?
Wow, what a great question. It's not me. I'm just a channel for spirit or God. So I'm not so attached. I mean, sometimes I do feel like you really need to know this, but I also know they'll get it in another way. If it's not from me, a dream, prayer, some other way. So I'm a conduit as much as possible.
So speaking of, we want to get a little reading from you.
Oh, you do?
Since you're here, since we don't have a ton of
Are you
time,
sure you want to do
we
that?
want to do a little like, wherever intuitive, whatever the three, whatever it is for here, whatever
What
it
I would
is
say
that
is ask the question. It's like life. You got to show up, and when you ask the question, you're invested. Like on my podcast, I do live readings all the time, and people tell me about my life or my life. We got 2 minutes. That's a big. And I'm like, be invested in your life. Go for it. And that means you've got to be involved.
Right. Well, let's just do it on Good Morning LaLa Land, because we're all here. The intention, we all, I believe, have very pure intentions. We all want to do good. We're all positive psychologists. We've got Andy, who's like an angel in the house. Jezlan, who's just an incredible worker and a light. And, we have so many options. We have people looking at it. We have, networks looking at us. We have capital people, angel investors. We have all kinds of stuff. And I think sometimes it's kind of like, where do we direct our energy? Because there's so many options. So is there anything there
Well,
for you?
obviously for all of you, what you're doing. The thing I'm pulling, I'm getting message from you, and I'm seeing, and I don't know if you do this now, a lot of philanthropic work.
Oh, that's
Charity,
fantastic.
yeah, to start aligning with that. I feel like there's a whole new opening for you. And I do see something, and I don't know if it's this, but where I feel like you're going to be on location or more on the road or doing kind of appearances. I don't know if speaking.
I love that. You're totally speaking to me right now. Yeah.
But you're meant to write a book, and that I feel is also part of the speaking engagement.
Thank
But
you
yeah,
for that.
but you're very inspirational and working a lot with women as well.
That all feels so in alignment.
Right?
Yeah, to know Jess. I'll be honest. Yeah,
I gotta be honest, this is the first time I'm
Yeah,
meeting you,
and
and
we
I
met
don't
like
even.
20 minutes
and
ago.
So I don't know.
Love that.
And both of you, a lot with TV and media. And I feel with you, it is also working with programs of empowerment, also specifically women is what I'm hearing. But I feel also maybe like more of a production company, but also perhaps I don't know, online. It's online courses, online media that I feel you're really meant to get out there. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the main missions I've been working on.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
daily spiritual practices where I'm bringing practices to people online and
Well, there
working
it
with
is.
many
Well,
many
that's
people
part-
to
yeah.
bring their courses to people online.
That's awesome.
And you, I feel very inspirational. I feel like from a child, you always lit up the room and you're always there for people. Like if people have problems or issues, they would always come to you, or family, they always come to you. And I feel like somehow you have a lot of compassion and a lot of wisdom.
Very true.
Is that true? Okay. And so what I'm hearing with you, also book and book series, and what I'm hearing from Spirit is that you need to take what you know and put it more in form. So focus for you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You gotta focus. And don't focus TV.
Yeah, right.
There's a reason we're all here to focus.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Very
So
true.
resonates. I have a question, because this is it's always fascinated me. I think folks that are just so in tune with spirit and that just have access to Akashic records and soul. What tips would you give people that want to access that? Maybe they can't do what you do, or they don't do what you do, but they still want to be able to access that soul and access that information and their intuition in a deeper way.
Yeah. And soul is the part of you that's the unique, your talents, gifts, your uniqueness. It's your design or the blueprint. So, I mean, we all have obviously psychologically an ego. That's not going to go away. You kind of train, and it's important. But it's to learn not to respond from that. And meditation is key. Because what really blocks people from their intuition is emotional patterns that don't work. Or so wanting something or not wanting something, or fear. And all the fear, natural human emotion, that's fine. But not to get your clarity. So I would say starting, in fact, on my website, soulplayground.life, there's free meditations. and breath work is key. So I really teach people how to meditate, but also how to tune into what we call that subtle energy, the energy of spirit, or the prana.
Pranayama, what people would call it, whatever. I love the breath
Yeah.
work.
And I thought it was so
Shakti.
interesting. Right here on the back of this gorgeous book of yours, it said that a quiet, calm state of mind to achieve clarity is necessary for
Yes.
decision, right?
Yes. And here's one tip. Spirit always acts in a holy instant, like that,
Yes.
or the 11th hour. So if you're mulling things over and thinking and thinking and thinking, that's not intuition, that's not spirit, that's ego. And that's okay, but don't act from that place. Because spirit will do it like you're like, oh God, I'm not ready. Ah.
Boom.
Or it's like, oh my God, 11th hour.
What do you mean by 11th hour?
Like it's almost too late. We'll think that something's too late, or I don't know what to do.
Maybe it even was like the 13th hour.
Yes.
Like, oh, I missed my opportunity, and then
Too
boom.
late, yeah.
Because everything operates on events in the time of spirit, because there really is no time. So as you become more evolved or more conscious, you move out of linear time anymore into synchronistic timing. Things happen by synchronicity. It's a divine right timing. Everything moves around or conspires to assist you if you don't get in the way.
We have to take a break, and I want to have you back like every Friday, I have so many. Like I just love, I mean, clearly you're very gifted, and the work that you've done and are doing for the world is so important. As you know, my book's called Awakening. You have a podcast called Awakenings. Like you are my soul
Real
sister for
resonance.
sure.
Yeah.
So we have to take a break, but we're going to bring you back in the final segment, and we just want you to know that we want you part of Good Morning LaLa, and we want all your good juju and all your stuff. And so
I feel so good being here.
Right?
I really do.
Yeah,
Appreciate
good.
it being
Yeah.
here.
So heartfelt energy
I know,
here.
right?
I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous you were coming this morning.
So just stay tuned, you guys. We're going to be right back with a little whiskey talk. We're going all over the place with the show today. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.